This video is an extension on the first Introduction to GIS video. This one uses the second map that's part of the week 12 or week 13 lab exercise, Hurricane Mitch GIS application. In this case, this is what the map looks like when it's initially loaded. It may show the legend view, which just identifies the continents, which is not really useful right now, and the countries of Central America, all with the same symbol, which is not also useful. This map does show a latitude-longitude grid, which will be of some use later in the lab. The things that you need to know in order to proceed through the lab exercise that I think are valuable for me to show you in a general context is, again, the process of turning on or off different map layers or different map data sets that all lay on top of each other. And to do that, you need to use the content button and enter into the content control, where we see many chances or many places where we can turn layers on or turn layers off. For the moment, I'll turn off the latitude-longitude grid. Perhaps, if I find that annoying, I would just turn that off so it doesn't get in the way for the moment. Additionally, I have a layer here called Country Outlines, which, as this begins to develop, maybe, or as the process of solving this exercise begins to develop, it may be more useful just to have an outline rather than an opaque polygon area for the country boundaries. Explaining what some of these other layers are, this first layer is a group of observations / locations where Hurricane Mitch was in the Caribbean. Early in its development, at a time when it had not reached hurricane status. As usual, clicking on one of these items allows one to get all of the attributes or the information that is associated with each of these locations. So at this location, there is a latitude and longitude already given in the attributes, a time expressed in Greenwich Mean Time or Zulu time or some standard time, the wind speed and the atmospheric pressure, and the category that the storm is assigned to at that time, tropical depression or tropical storm. And apparently the storm wandered around a little bit, bouncing between tropical storm, tropical depression, until it became Hurricane Mitch on day 2 and passed through Hurricane 1 strength up to Hurricane 4, and for a number of time intervals actually reached a Hurricane 5 category with high winds, very low pressure, and unfortunately very close to Honduras, especially, also Nicaragua. And another layer that's available in this map product that you will be able to use as you step through the procedure of the exercise is the rainfall distribution. And this shows at day 3, and these layers show hurricane. I can't move the layers around, but these layers show the rainfall profile and the location of the storm, and it becomes clear, and this is an answer to one of the questions, that whilst near the storm itself in the immediate vicinity over a relatively close distance, there is a Mitch 3 and Rain 3, mean day 3 of this overall event. There is a concentration of rain there, but there's an even bigger concentration of rain in the southwest quadrant of the entire storm system. So while the storm at that time is located here, actually the worst rainstorm is is some distance in the southwest quadrant, somewhat away from the eye of the hurricane. So these mapping and comparisons can allow us to make observations and answer some questions we otherwise might not have. Continuing onward, there's rainfall number 4 and the locations of Hurricane Mitch. Number 4 and those are the locations when Hurricane Mitch on day 4 actually was over land and probably approaching its demise until it got back. Okay, approaching its demise, it did take a couple of days for the thing to finally exit. Sometimes it's more useful to zoom in on this, and I could use the mouse wheel or I could use the zoom in and out. One other characteristic, one other tool that's in this GIS system is the measure tool, which you have access to, and the measure tool allows you to answer a number of the other questions in the lab exercise, such as how far is the storm center from Honduras on day whatever. And when you ask for the measure tool, you have to specify whether you're measuring an area, a distance, or it'll actually capture a location for you by clicking on it. I forgot that. So it's possible to ask for a distance, in this case in miles, and when all I have to do to get that distance is click once, let the mouse go, and and move the mouse around, and I discover that from whatever point to Tegucigalpa is 215 miles. And if I double click, it will stop the measuring so I can start a fresh one again. So the distance from the capital Belize to the capital of Guatemala is 229 miles. So the measure tool will be useful to you as well. Those are the essential ingredients in this particular in this particular software, which you will be using for the exercise. If you are clear on these turn on a layer, turn off a layer, zoom in, zoom out, make a measurement, and such, then going through the exercise itself will go much more quickly and smoothly because you'll be familiar with the environment that you're working in.